Okay, I think in a second we're going to be getting a game of the SE Zidane finals. They already played one game. I didn't catch any of it except the final turn, where Cookie was down 4-6 but had his final move in 8 with the potential to flip two cards. I think I can go back to that actually. And he flipped one, tying the game 5-5. The final move was 6-6-8-6 in 8, which flipped which flipped Ash, I think, not Sephiroth, because if it had flipped Sephiroth, it would have flipped other things. We can solve things in retrospect. That would have potentially been a combo. We know I should check the rules. A766 is clearly popular with at least one of them, possibly both. Looks like you could use up to 2 level 10s and otherwise had to use level 8s. We will be checking the rules as we go, but first I want to really make sure we catch the whole game if possible. But while I'm there, I will, in another window, bring up the thing. These are both card select players, so whatever we saw in game 1, not necessarily likely they will follow similar patterns in game 2. But we should see what the rules are so we can better predict what's available. Given that Cookie used 6686, I would guess he also used Sephiroth. That seems like a natural pairing. So I would guess Kaus was more of the A766 player. That he would use Ash and Kuja seems like a standard pairing. And I would guess that was him. Must use 3 level 8s and 2 level 10s. Level 8s must have elements. Level 10s must be one hero and one villain. So yeah, Ash and Kuja makes a lot of sense. And Kyros and Sephiroth make sense on the other side. Level 8s must have elements. Okay. We can see all the level 8s here did have elements. No idea who used which of these cards. But presumably both of them used one of the 9-9s. I think it's pretty unlikely someone would double up on 9-9s for the same corner. So I think a fair guess for Cookie's hand would be Sephiroth, Kyros, one of the 9-9 corners, maybe 6-9-5-5, just to have the coverage of Sephiroth as a big corner, and 6-6-8-6. That's my best guess for his hand, which would mean Kaus used Rude, another 9-9 corner, Ash, and Kuja. So hopefully we can catch the game. All right, nice. Cookie is first turn again. So I think good result for Kaus to get a tie on second turn here. 9 minutes, presumably that's not because they're taking 9 minutes a turn, but because card select. Yeah, so first turn definitely favored on this rule set. All rules in effect. You do want first turn here. We'll see what Cookie can do with it this time. I don't know what he played last time. I did see Cookie play a game for Zidane recently. We caught Zoom in the semifinals. Or sorry, in the losers finals. So it's possible 3-2-9-9 and 5 was the start. If he was playing like he played in that matchup, then 3-2-9-9 and 5 was the type of move he made there. He dropped something in 5 and worked from there. So let's make sure everything's recording properly. Looks good. Okay. And while I am recording with my computer's microphone, my laptop, I don't have it on my lap, so hopefully there won't be a lot of rustling every time I move. Good luck, you too. Okay, we can close that window. And ooh, using a level 10 and 5. Tifa is a hero. That means it is clearly more likely. I mean, Cookie's next card has to be a villain. Given that Sephiroth's 8A plays off Tifa, if I'm Kaus, I'm currently predicting to see Sephiroth again. Also, given that, because I'm pretty sure Kaus used Kuja and Ash last game, we know that Cookie is not that locked into using opposites, right? And even if Cookie did use one of those, I'm pretty sure one of Cookie's level 10s was Sephiroth. Any of the other A766s do not give him a natural opposite corner. So we know Cookie isn't tied to opposite corners in his high level cards, right? He has two high level cards, but he's happy to use one early, and he doesn't feel that much need to hold on to it, which makes me really think there's a good chance we see Sephiroth again. All right, we see another 9-9 corner. Kaus plays quickly here. Presumably, he has good cards in 2 and 6. If he has kind of A7-6-6 stuff, Ash has some play in 6. Not obvious how he's controlling 2, but a 9-4-7-5 would have the plus there. Not a super obvious lock-in. Unless he is like really good kind of sames or pluses that can't be comboed back, I would have taken longer on this move. But I think many players play I don't want to say riskier styles than I do. I mean, I think it is kind of riskier move to move, but I don't think it adds up to riskier play necessarily. But I would be looking for more than just having combos in those squares, but having ways to take back I'm comfortable with. On the other hand, what he's doing is he's creating a challenge, right? You want to have, you're on second turn. If we put all weak stuff facing out, it's going to be easy for the opponent to capture things at the end. He's creating a challenge for Cookie. We don't know that Cookie has the captures. If he has a card like Sephiroth or a card with a 10, there's a decent chance it's in the upper right direction. He probably has captures there, but those won't be very secure captures. If he does not have cards with a 10, 9s are hard to take. And especially because there's the rule that the level 8s must have elementals on them, it's not obvious that you can use the kind of 8-7-6-5s that are so good at taking 9s. And it's not obvious you want to use 8-7-6-5s when 10s are available. Though I have thought that in the past and lost a Clan League game to Addy because I had faith that certain cards wouldn't have too much trouble with 8-7-6-5s, and I was wrong. Actually, no, I was using 9-8-5-4s. That wasn't split level. Ignore that part. I do think things like 8-7-6-5s that do such a good job of covering 9s are less applicable in formats where 10s exist. And so it's not obvious you have good coverage of 9s. Now, in the game Cookie played against Zoom, he had first turn. He started in 5 and he went for a slash. When his opponent played in one corner, he played in the far corner. Notably in that one, he could not recapture stuff. Here, it's a 1-1-9-9. That is a very easy recapture. And I think that is a difficult move to play against if you're Kaus. I think this is one of the most interesting structures to try to defend. If you go in 4 or 8 now, you are walking into combos, right? If they can combo you, that is going to flip the 1-1-9-9 as well. It might not flip anything else. But I think if you're going to go in 4 or 8 as Kaus here, you don't really want to flip Tifa. You're the one who most likely is play in 2 and 6, and you want to save that play for later. So I think if you go 4 or 8, like, I wouldn't put kind of high numbers in 4. Turds thinks this is a really strong or really risky slash for first turn, but inclined to think strong because it guarantees late game captures. Okay, Kaus goes 8, uses his hero card. R6 is very comboable. Not if Sephiroth is the card here. And importantly, it didn't flip 5. Because what I was thinking, and I think Kaus is thinking the same thing, is if you've set up combos for yourself in 2 and 6, then you want to have squares like 4 and 8 occupied by stuff weak to 5 so that your combo in 2 or 6 is effective. Now, Yuna had the combo in 6, and when you go in 8, your natural squares the opponent can go are 2 and 4, right? When you go in 8, you're making sure 6 is kept open for you for later. But he used a card that has a combo in 6. So the question is, does he have another card that combos there, or is he forcing a square he now doesn't have play in to stay open? I think we have to assume he has the card there. I think this is pretty risky play if you don't. Turd says Kaus will be hoping Cookie will stay away from the summoner. Tried to say it in the right voice, probably didn't do a good job. Um, but I do, when you've played in 3 here, if you're Kaus, 2 and 6 are the squares you're likely to have. So those are the squares you want to keep open. And maybe it was hard for Kaus to go in 4 without capturing Tifa, right? Reno, 2499, would have done that, but Reno's already out of his hand. It's unlikely to have too many cards that are weak going right. So I think it makes a lot of sense that Kaus would look to go in 8 here. If Cookie goes in 4, in the Zoom game, Cookie went in the equivalent of 4. I think Kaus has 2 key options. I think you can go in 9, locking in Yuna and saying you have 2 for later. But 9 can be really scary because if your opponent goes in 1 and has both squares, you just lose. It's hard for Cookie to have both squares. He set 5, but he did not set 3, and he almost certainly made the sand in card select, so it's unlikely to have insane synergies. Or you can slide in 1 of 2 or 6, intending to combo back the other way, which tends to be my preference. Because Tifa faces 8, it is better to have a second card weak to Tifa, so 6 would be preferable to 2. So if Cookie goes in 4, my instinct would be the best moves in 6, followed by 9, followed by, I guess, 2, followed by 1. Okay, but we have not gone the way I thought. Cookie certainly went in 4, and Kaus goes in 1 grabbing that. But 9s might be tricky to take. 9s might be tricky to take. And 7592 was not a card that fits the board well. I think there was a case, depending where Kaus' combos, for going 7952 in either 6 or 9. But he saw an opportunity to grab and say, just, do you have it? If you're Cookie, you usually go in 2 or 9 here. But it's tough. I'm starting to think Cookie's ahead here. If Cookie has anything, this game can be over, right? If Cookie can combo the card in 1 from 2, then he'll be up 6-4, and Kaus needs a capture. Now, okay, probably doesn't have the combo. Again, it's hard to combo 9s. And if he did have the combo, he probably would have moved by now. So actually, maybe once we see he doesn't move, the evaluation should change. I still think there's a very good chance he has Sephiroth in his hand. If he goes in 9 here, I think Kaus should go in 6. If he goes in 9 with a card that isn't Sephiroth. Because I think there's a decent chance to run back that card. Yeah, Turd saying Kaus may be in trouble here if Cookie can take 1 without 3. But if he could do that, I think he would have, depending on how often he reloads. And if he has, cards for both squares, he can just go in 9 and win on the spot. But given the speed of play, right, 9 minutes, 9 times 60, okay, that's just 540 seconds. So it's just been 2 minutes here. But I do think if he has 2, you can, and like a good card at the end, like, I don't know, Balthier or something. Sephiroth. Sephiroth's a pretty good card at the end. Sephiroth has trouble taking 9s, but good against most other things. You kind of just go 2. But if you have Sephiroth here, and a card that doesn't land in 2, what do you do? I don't know. If you play 9 and Kaus can combo you and you don't have 2, you're in trouble. I don't know. I think this can go any direction. If I'm Cookie here, I probably have a very good sense of whether I'm ahead or behind. He has 2. Alright, so we're pretty sure, and that was not the card I predicted at all, pretty sure Kaus has 6. If Yuna was his only card for 6, then I think the move in 8 was really poor. But he should have 6, and that's going to flip back 3 cards. So that's going to make it 6-4. Yeah. Ooh, and a very nice card for 6. And so Cookie has a level 8 with an element on it left. I think Kaus should get the tie here, but Cookie might just have it. 4877 would randomly be the plus here, but I think this earned the tie. Now, if we look at Kaus's play, we don't know if he ever had anything for 2. If he had played 7-9-5-2 and 2 instead of 1, then basically we would have gotten the same thing. Cookie goes 1, Kaus goes 6, and we get the same position. But Cookie would have been able to potentially have more choice about which card to hold on to. Very unlucky for Kaus. Yeah, very unlucky for Kaus. Now, Cookie had everything but a 10 down covered. Huh. Turds asks, where's the villain? Cookie may not have... For either. It's possible neither of them followed Stips this game. Well, 9595 is dark. Probably a villain. So Tifa and 9595 probably followed. I think Kaus may have broken Stips here. But he might not have. I don't know. Interestingly, Cookie had 7952 and 1 covered with both cards. He was just figuring out which to keep as a sweeper for 9. And he was probably considering going 9595 and 9 because 7658 is so good in 6, but it's not good in 2. Yeah. So he played that endgame well. And just happened. I mean, he happened to have the 9 covered really well. But he had a 10 covered there as well. He had a 7 covered there if he wanted it. So he had a lot of coverage of 1. We don't know what Kaus's last card was. So if Kaus did not have 2, and there's a good chance he didn't, because we can see, 4A95 has a good has captures in 2, but not a combo. If Kaus has the combo in 6, but not in 2, then going in 8 makes a lot of sense to keep 6 open. And going in 1 makes sense because 1, they go 2, you go 6. So actually, I think this game just makes sense. I think we should assume Kaus didn't have 2. I think if he did, should probably go 6 instead of 1. But I think this is actually a good game of closed. I shouldn't say actually, but it's always hard to piece together after. It's always hard to piece together after what they'd be thinking. But it looks to me like Cookie played a card in 5 that has some synergy off. Like 9595 has various play, 7658 has some play. Yeah, so there's some synergy on a card in 5. Then he plays a weak corner in 7. When the opponent locks stuff in, he goes for a Q, getting rid of a not particularly useful card, and making it very unlikely he's going to get comboed. And then I think he plays the endgame well. I think this makes sense from Cookie's perspective. Ideally, you probably don't use your level 10 as the first move, but I think this makes sense. From Kaus's perspective, he plays a strong corner that gives him some combo play, is potentially hard for Cookie to take. And in fact, if we look at the hands, it was hard for Cookie to take. Cookie had no capture in 2. Cookie had no capture in 2. So, putting out the strong corner really had value, and it gave him play in 6. When his opponent goes in 7, he goes in 8, which captures 7 and makes sure that 6 will be left open. When his opponent goes for the Q, he needs 6 as his key square. If 6 is your key square, you go in 1 or 2. I was assuming 2 was his key square, sort of hoping it was. But if 6 is your key square, you probably want to go in 1 or 2 to make them go in the other and you go in 6. He goes in 1. He has a 9 facing out. That's tough to take. Turns out Cookie can take it both ways. Yeah, I think this is a good game of closed. I think that is a good game of closed, and I'm going to assume they're not going to continue playing, so I think we'll stop here. But even if they do, we'll do it in another video.